If you can get into that dress, Zahir al-Hakim raised a champagne glass, pointing to the red dress hanging in the center of the hall. I'll marry you on the spot. The explosion of laughter was instantaneous. 200 guests at the Metropolitan Fashion Gala in Manhattan turned to see who was the butt of the joke. Anya Carter, 29, a cleaning lady at the hotel hosting the event, stood frozen in the corner of the hall with her cleaning cart still in her hands. The gray uniform, 2 sizes too big, hung loosely on her body, hiding the curves she had learned to be ashamed of. Zahir, 42, a Persian Gulf oil magnate with an estimated fortune of $3 billion, laughed too loudly. That performative laugh of someone accustomed to being the center of attention? The white Gutra scarf on his head swayed as he gestured dramatically. I'm serious. Does anyone have a pen and paper? Let's draw up a contract right now. The dress in question was the centerpiece of the exhibition, an exclusive creation by French designer Laurent Beaumont. Valued at $850,000, size 2, wasp waist, structured neckline. A work of art made for bodies, sculpted in elite gyms, and maintained by private nutritionists. Anya felt the heat rise to her neck, tinging her face with a red that contrasted cruelly with her black skin. Her eyes filled with tears that she blinked furiously to hold back. Not here, not in front of them. She had learned in her 6 years working at luxury events that rich people had a special talent for turning humiliation into entertainment. Come on, dear. The voice of a woman in a gold dress cut through the air. Accept the proposal? Single billionaires don't come along every day. More laughter. Cell phone flashes capturing the moment for Instagram stories. Hashtag Metropolitan Gala. Hashtag funnymoments.an. YA lowered her head. Gripped the handle of the cleaning cart so tightly that her knuckles turned white and began to walk away. Each step was a struggle against the urge to run. Each laugh behind her was a stab in the back. Hey, wait, Zahir shouted, his voice still tinged with cruel amusement. Don't run away. The offer stands. 30 days. If in 30 days you fit into that dress, I'll keep my word. The crowd cheered as if they were watching a show. Anya didn't look back. She pushed the cart through the service door. And as soon as the door closed, muffling the sound of laughter, she leaned against the cold wall of the service hallway and let the tears finally fall. But something happened in that empty hallway. Between stacks of folded towels and the smell of cleaning products, something inside her didn't break. It transformed. The shame began to boil until it turned into something else. Anger, determination, a promise. What none of those easily amused guests knew was that Anya Carter wasn't just a cleaning lady. 6 years ago, she had been a fashion design student at Parsons School of Design, a full scholarship recipient with perfect grades, until her mother had a devastating stroke at age 54. Anya had to choose between her dreams and her family's survival. She chose survival. She dropped out of college 2 semesters before graduation, took on 3 jobs, and cared for her mother, who was paralyzed on the left side. For 6 years, she swallowed humiliations like that one, because she needed the money to pay for physical therapy, medication, and rent. But that night something changed. Anya wiped her tears with the back of her hand, straightened her shoulders, and made a silent promise. In 30 days, she would return. Not for the ridiculous wedding, not for their approval, but to prove that no one had the right to define her by her appearance or her position. What Zahir al-Hakim also didn't know was that this innocent joke was about to set off a chain of events that would not only destroy his carefully constructed reputation but expose secrets he had buried deep beneath layers of money and influence. Because Anya wouldn't be coming back alone, and when she did, it wouldn't just be her body that had changed. Anya didn't sleep that night. Sitting in the cramped kitchen of her Bronx apartment, she opened her old laptop and typed 3 words into the search bar. Zahir al-Hakim scandals. The results flooded the screen. Articles about his oil company, photos on yachts, charity dinners. But among the glamorous news, Anya found something different. An obscure forum for former employees. Labor complaints filed discreetly. Rumors of out-of-court settlements with women who had worked for him. Interesting, she murmured. Methodically saving links. The next morning at 5 a.m., Anya was at the 24-hour gym 3 blocks from her home. It wasn't a fancy place, rusty weights, cracked mirrors, no air conditioning, but the monthly fee was $20, and the owner, a former boxer named Rita, had an unjudgmental look about her. "First time?" Rita asked, watching Anya stand uncertainly at the entrance. "I have 30 days to fit into a size 34 dress." Rita raised an eyebrow. "And why do you want that?" "Because someone bet I couldn't do it." A slow smile formed on Rita's face. "Then we're going to make that son of a bitch eat his words. But you have to follow my training to the letter every single day. No exceptions." Anya nodded. What she didn't say was that she didn't just want to fit into the dress. She wanted to destroy the man who thought she was a joke. Over the next few days, Anya built a brutal routine. Gym at 5 a.m. Work from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. 2 more hours at the gym, then home to take care of her mother. And every night, after her mother fell asleep, she returned to her laptop. That's how she found Yara. Yara Mansur, Zahir's former executive secretary, had sued the company 3 years ago for sexual harassment and discrimination. The case was settled amicably with a confidentiality agreement and an undisclosed payment. But Yara had an anonymous blog where, without mentioning names, she told her story. Anya sent a carefully worded message. 2 hours later, her phone rang. "You're the woman in the video," Yara said, without preamble. "The humiliation at the Metropolitan? I saw it on Twitter. It went viral." Anya's stomach sank. "It went viral?" 2 million views, but most of the comments are on your side." "Why did you come to me?" "Because I saw your lawsuit, and I have a feeling you're not the only one." Silence on the other end. "Then meet me tomorrow. I need to look you in the eye before I tell you what I know." They met at a discreet cafe in Queens. Yara, 34, her dark hair pulled back in a perfect bun, had eyes that had cried every tear possible and now held only steel. "Zahir al-Hakim is a monster," she said bluntly, "but a smart monster. He documents everything about everyone except himself. He has files on employees, business partners, even his own family. He uses them as insurance. Where does he keep them? I don't know, but I know who might." Yara slid a piece of paper across the table. "Jamal, his former driver for 8 years. He was fired last month for breach of trust, actually because he saw something he shouldn't have." Meanwhile, Zahir continued his life as if nothing had happened, but his advisors began to notice changes. He checked social media obsessively. He searched for the video of the humiliation. He read the comments. "This guy is disgusting. Imagine having so much money and so little class. Does anyone know who the woman is? I want to send her money." For the first time in years, Zahir al-Hakim felt something his money couldn't buy. Public shame. He called his public relations team. "Get this off the internet." "Sir, we've tried, but the more we remove it, the more people repost it. There's an online petition with 50,000 signatures asking you to apologize." Zahir hung up angrily. That insignificant woman was ruining his image. While he was worrying about public relations, Anya found Jamal, the former driver, a 50-year-old man with a tired face. "Agreed to talk for one reason only. He destroyed my daughter. She worked in his office. She was 23. He harassed her. When she refused, he fired her and spread lies. She hasn't been able to find a job in 6 months. She's depressed." Jamal looked Anya in the eye. "If you're going to take this man down, I'll help." And then Jamal revealed the secret that would change everything. Zahir kept his compromising files in a digital safe, but the physical backup was in his personal lawyer's apartment in Manhattan. And Jamal knew where the key was. 20-8 days after the humiliation, Anya was unrecognizable. She had lost 18 pounds. But that wasn't all. Her eyes had a new intensity. Her movements were precise, calculated. Rita watched her with pride as she completed her last workout. "You did it," Rita said. "But I have a feeling this was never just about the dress." Anya smiled without answering. That night, she had 2 goals: to fit into the dress and to destroy Zahir al-Hakim. The plan was risky. Jamal had gained access to the lawyer's apartment. The man would be out of town that weekend. Yara had gathered 3 other women who had been victims of Zahir, all willing to testify if they had concrete evidence, and Anya had achieved something none of them expected. 2 weeks earlier, while cleaning the hotel's executive office after an event, she found Zahir's personal tablet left on a table. He would come back for it, she knew. But in the 15 minutes she had, Anya did something she had learned in her days at design school. She took photos of compromising emails open on the screen conversations, about bribes to environmental inspectors, explicit messages to married employees, suspicious bank transfers. It wasn't everything, but it was enough to get started. The Metropolitan Fashion Gala was holding a second closing event. The charity auction where the red dress would be sold. Zahir would be there, of course. He was the biggest donor, and he had no idea that Anya would be there too. The entrance to the Plaza Hotel ballroom was lined with limousines. When Anya stepped out of a simple Uber, she wore a discreet black dress she had sewn herself, a skill she had never lost. The red dress would come later. Yar and the other women were already positioned among the guests, cell phone cameras at the ready. Jamal was outside in a rental car with a flash drive containing copies of all the lawyer's backup documents. Everything was timed to the second. Zahir circled the hall like a peacock, distributing handshakes and overly white smiles. When he saw Anya enter, he didn't recognize her immediately. She had changed not only her body, but her hair, her posture, everything. It was only when she walked directly up to him that something clicked in his mind. "Do you remember me?" Anya asked, her calm voice cutting through his conversation with a group of investors. Zahir blinked. Then his face paled. "You. 30 days, you said?" Anya gestured to the red dress displayed on a mannequin in the center of the room. "Can I try it on now? Or would you prefer I do it in front of everyone?" The room began to fall silent as people realized what was happening. Someone whispered, "It's Hertha woman from the video." Zahir forced a nervous laugh. "Look, that was a joke. I wasn't serious," Anya interrupted him, pulling her phone from her pocket. "Because I have the entire recording. 2 million views already. Want to make it 3 million? A murmur ran through the guests. Cell phone cameras began to rise. "What do you want?" Zahir hissed, the veneer of civility cracking. "Justice." Anya nodded. Yara and the other 3 women approached, forming a semicircle. "I want you to look at these women and acknowledge what you did to them." Zahir's face went through a sequence of expressions: confusion, recognition, panic. "I don't know who Yara Mansur?" Harassment lawsuit 2020, Sarah Chen. Confidential settlement 2019, Nina Rodriguez. Fired after refusing your advances 2021. And Leela all said. Anya paused dramatically. "Your own cousin?" Silenced by the family with $2 million. Gasps echoed through the room. Leela, a 28-year-old woman in an elegant hijab, stepped forward, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "You're crazy," Zahir whispered, but his voice trembled. "These are lies." "Then explain these emails." Anya gestured toward a screen that was supposed to display photos from a charity event. Images began to appear. Emails, messages, bank transfers, all enlarged for the entire room to see. The sound system played a recording Zahir's unmistakable voice. "If she doesn't accept the deal, destroy her reputation. I don't care how." The silence was absolute. Journalists in attendance began typing frantically. Flashes exploded from all directions. "How did you get this?" Zahir was as pale as a sheet. "You underestimated the cleaning lady." Anya moved closer. "But here's the interesting part. I managed to fit into the dress. I tried it on yesterday. Perfect size 34. So technically, you owe me a wedding." Nervous laughter echoed. But Anya wasn't laughing. "I don't want to marry you. I want you to pay for what you've done, and not just to me." She looked around the hall. How many women here have been disrespected, humiliated, silenced by men like him? Men who think money buys them the right to treat people like trash. Applause began timid at first, then thunderous. Women stood up. Then men did too. 2 security guards approached, but not for Anya. For Zahir, Mr. Al-Hakim. The police would like to ask you some questions about the bribery allegations documented in these emails. Zahir's empire crumbled in real time. His lawyer was arrested trying to destroy evidence. 3 companies canceled multi-million-dollar contracts before midnight. And the video of the confrontation went viral with 15 million views in 24 hours as Zahir was escorted out. He looked at Anya one last time, not with anger, but with something worse, the belated realization that he had destroyed himself. The moment he decided she didn't deserve respect, 3 months later, Anya's apartment in the Bronx had an unexpected addition, a professional sewing table, donated by a company that saw her story. She was poring over some sky blue fabric when her mother, now moving a little better after intensive physical therapy funded by online donations, limped in with the support of a cane. "Honey, there are people on TV talking about you again." Anya smiled without looking up from her work. "Never mind, Mom."
Ow.
But her mother turned up the volume. The anchor was speaking excitedly and in developments in the Al-Hakim scandal. The businessman was sentenced to 3 years in prison for bribery and obstruction of justice. In addition, a $50 million fund has been established to compensate victims of harassment at his companies. Anya finally looked up at the screen. She felt no vengeful satisfaction, just a kind of peace that comes from closing a chapter. Zahira Al-Hakim lost everything. His company was sold off in pieces to cover fines and lawsuits. His family in the Persian Gulf publicly disowned him. The tabloids followed him as he left court in increasingly cheap suits, without the arrogance that had once defined his every step. He had become exactly what he had always feared, irrelevant. But Anya did not build her victory on his ruin. She built something of her own. With media attention came opportunities. Parsons School of Design offered her a full scholarship to finish her degree. 3 fashion brands sought her out for consulting. And the red dress was donated to a charity auction that raised $1.20 million for an education fund for low-income women. Anya didn't buy it. She didn't need to anymore. She had already created 12 dresses of her own, each telling the story of a woman she had met during those 30 transformative days. Yara opened an NGO providing legal support to victims of corporate harassment. Sarah returned to work in technology, now at a company that valued her. Nina launched a podcast on survival and resilience that reached the top 10 in the country. And Lilela confronted her family, refused to remain silent, and became a spokesperson for Arab women facing abuse. On a rainy afternoon, Anya received a letter. There was no sender, just a scribbled name. Zahir, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know that your courage forced me to look in the mirror for the first time in decades. I saw a monster. I'm paying my price. But the greatest punishment is knowing that I caused irreparable pain to people who didn't deserve it. You didn't destroy me. You revealed me. And that was more merciful than I ever was to anyone. Anya read the letter once, folded it carefully, and put it in a drawer knot as a trophy. But as a reminder, some men learn too late that power without humanity is just oppression in expensive clothes. On her graduation day at Parsons, Anya took the stage to receive her diploma to thunderous applause. Her mother cried in the front row. Rita, the coach, waved proudly. Yara and the other women were their small family forged in fire and resilience.